Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We'll be talking about overall the political situation at this time with the upcoming PTI Jalsa that we've been talking about for a while. We've also, as far as the state is concerned, of course the responsibilities that the state has to ensure safety of all citizens, to ensure that the business of the state goes on unheeded. We'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about the former head of PTI and of course the implications with regard to his trial. What can we expect? Of course, there's a lot that is being said of whether there will be a military trial or not, and of course we can discuss it in a limited capacity considering that it's a sub judice matter to an extent. I have with me today Aniq Zafar, who's a political analyst. Thank you for being with us today. We also have with us Ali Rashid, spokesperson to Sindh government from the BPP. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Shizra Mansab, who's M&A with PML-N, and Barrister Yasser Latif Hamdani, who's a legal expert. Let me go to the studio here. Aniq sir, there's a lot that is being said with regard to the former head of PTI and the fact that, you know, there is the trial itself and what it can mean for the system, for the political party itself. How do you look at that?
Okay, so first thing first, we are not yet very sure that whether he will be undergoing a trial, as most people are predicting that it will be a military trial. There are a few aspects of the Military Act, Army Act, which can be sort of used to try civilians in the military court. But you must remember that already there is a case pending in the Supreme Court where the process of trial of civilians in the military court has been put on a hold because of different constitutional and legal challenges to that process. Coming back to the point that whether what will be the outcome, we cannot predict that. But for the party itself, party has already been in disarray because of Mr. Khan being in the under arrest or in the jail. And if he is actually sentenced under military trial, then I think the party is going to crumble further, because there is no unifying force in the party. We have seen even today the Secretary General of the party has resigned because there has been there are many groups within. There is internal fight, and that kind of internal fight will be reflecting in tomorrow's meeting also. That is why the government was very reluctant in allowing this to continue, allowing this rally to happen in August. But now the government must have got some assurances from PTI leadership.
What the shape of this rally can take, we'll be talking about that now that it is, you know, for all intents and purposes, expected to go forward. Let me come back to you. I'm going to go to Barrister Yasser Latif Hamdani. Yasser, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
What do you know, as a lawyer, and you know, as far as the implications of an army military trial are huge, you know, of course, overall for the political process also, and for the particular political party, as Aniq Saab also said. How do you look at that?
Well, I think, see, the fact of the matter is the Army Act covers those. So in the Army Act, there's a question of who is subject to the act, right? Now, once a person, if a person tries to seduce or tries to incite a person of who is already subject to the Army Act, then that person becomes subject to the Army Act. So I don't know if that makes sense, but what you have is a jurisdiction that is assumed by the military in the event that there was. And we are hearing now from all the reports that I can see that there is some talk about how the chairman of the said political party was involved in the incitement of a mutiny. Now, if that is the case, then, Section 2D and then Section 31 of the Army Act come into play. So I don't, yes, it would be very tragic that an elected Prime Minister, a civilian Prime Minister, leader of a popular political party, gets tried under the Army Act. I mean, it would be tragic, but, in terms of the law is what it is. And, if say, for example, Mr. Imran Khan was, inciting or seducing people within the military, within the armed forces, into taking action against their superiors or carrying out a mutiny, then obviously the law would come into action. And that's, so while on the one hand, it is very sad given our complicated, meandering history of democracy and sort of what we've faced over the last 70 years. But the fact of the matter is that in this case, if there was a mutiny, then it's it's something that where the law has to take its course. It did take its course in 1999 as well.
I think we'll try to reconnect because I can't hear what you're saying at all. Let me go to Aniq Zafar. There is, from what we heard of what Yasser is saying, of course, the implications are huge. Like you said, this Jalsa now, as far as, we saw what happened last time, the postponement of it, even that was made, within the party also. There's so many things that were said by different people in the party.
Yep.
We saw what Ali Khan said, we saw what other leadership in the party said. How do you look at this Jalsa? Is it going to be, are they going to be able to bring out people?
I think, looking at this public meeting or Jalsa, whatever way you want to describe it, more than the numbers there, I think what matters is that how PTI will be able to build a narrative which shows and reflects that it is a proper political party instead of a rebel rousing group of people, right? In the past, what we have seen with such rallies and public meetings by PTI, the last big such movement was May 26 in 2022. That had turned into a huge disaster for the party. And then on May 9th, 2023, the kind of protests they led turned into a huge disaster for the party. So this is again a defining movement for them.
So how do when you talk about narrative building at this stage, how do you think they're going to build that narrative as far as coming out is concerned?
Yeah, but that narrative, again, I said that narrative of proving themselves as a political force which wants to remain in the mainstream political discourse. It does not want to be on the fringes in terms of its discourse. It wants to engage with other political forces. It wants to give some positive hope to the people. But if their sole agenda is to create chaos, destabilization, and that is going to be the narrative they are going to build, then I am afraid that they are going to further dig themselves in a hole.
You mean what they say, the addresses to the people in the Jalsa, you think that will determine
that will determine the outcome for me, not the numbers.
Let me go to Mohammed Ali Rashid from the Sindh government. Ali, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Ali, there is, as far as this narrative is concerned, when we talk about the former head of PTI, we talk about this Jalsa that is now expected to go forward. Do you expect there to be a new line? Do you expect there to be something different that is going to be said? The narrative that we talk about of the PTI as a political party is going to change? Is it, like Aniq Zafar is saying, is it going to target having a working relationship, or is it again going to be like we don't want to play?
The thing is, it's very difficult to predict anything PTI is about to do because they're so unpredictable, and whenever they their stances keep changing. One day, their leader will say, we want to talk to the army, it's our army establishment, we want to talk to the establishment. Next day, you'll have another statement from him saying something else. Then you have the leadership which is actually out of jail, which is running the show. They have differences amongst each other. So it's very difficult to predict that what exactly this Jalsa will bring. But if I know them well enough, it will be not less than a surprise, because they will, it's just, I think, let's see if the Jalsa even happens or not, because last minute something or the other happens within the party. One faction starts fighting with the other one. The KP government, the people from there start accusing the chief minister. The chief minister gets rid of some people from there. I think Gohar Ayub also, I think, resigned. I think his resignation has also been accepted from as the party general secretary. So, it's just like a lot is going on within the ranks of PTI. It's very difficult to, if it was like any other party, or if it's, in routine, or a few sensible people, sane people, you'd go like, okay, this is what's about to happen. But the question is,
leadership is incarcerated, so to speak. Ji, Ali.
Excuse me, what was your question?
Saying that their leadership is incarcerated, so to speak. So one would it be reasonable to expect some sort of an upheaval?
I don't think so. My personal view. Look, if you ask me what I would want, then yes, I would want. Look, every political party would want, or anybody in the country would want that PTI should get their act together and come and just make amends, let bygones be bygones, and let's move on, right? You can't keep crying about spilt milk. Whatever happened, happened. Now let's move on. Let's talk about.
Okay, let me come back to you on that. We have Shizra with us. I'm going to ask her this question. Dr. Shizra, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Dr. Shizra, this is, whether they want to play ball or not, more often than not, this political party says that the government's efforts in trying to have some sort of relationship, some sort of working relationship with them, essentially are not sincere, and that they don't want to sit with the opposition. How would you respond to that?
I think that the government has time and again offered them this, that they're ready to talk. The Prime Minister of Pakistan on the floor of the assembly offered that he was ready to talk on any subject, because when we were in the opposition and they came after the rigged election of 2018, even then, as opposition parties, we were ready to talk, and we said that this is the way forward for all political parties to be able to talk on those matters of national interest that go beyond party lines. In the same way, when we were now in the government, we're still offering them that we are ready to talk. I think the efforts of talking from them seem to be very, one day they're saying one thing, the other day they're saying one thing. They keep refusing that.
Is generally confusion within the party ranks, or do you think it's because, their demands actually hinge on their leader, coming out and somehow getting a free pass? Is that the reason, or do you think there's general confusion?
No, that is what they keep repeating. That is what they keep saying. They keep saying that, okay, we are ready to talk on these particular conditions. And the conditions turn out to be that the leaders should be, released, and all that they're accused of should just be wiped off. And that's not possible. So what they basically are asking for is an NRO. And I think Umar Ayub also said this very clearly, that we're ready to talk on these conditions, that our leader, Imran Khan, and certain others of the leaders who are in jail should be released. But that is not possible. The matter of general confusion is definitely there, because half of their leadership is resigning. One day they resign, the next day they come back. Now Umar Ayub has also resigned. Many of their ministers in KP resigned. Everybody is in this race for leadership within the party and for control within the party themselves. And that is one of the reasons that none of them is ready to trust the other person. As far as Imran Khan is concerned, I think his focus now, and I think that's what he's encouraging his other people also to say, is to just get me out of jail and get me an NRO. but that's not possible. So we are ready to talk on other subjects. It's in any case, everything, the government cannot release these prisoners, whatever the cases are in the court, and it's for the court to decide whether they are guilty. Then they cannot be released. If they're not guilty, they will be released. So those things will be decided by the court. The government only wants that we should talk to them. And you can see that they haven't even nominated any person from their own party for talks. They have nominated Ashok Sahi, who is all right. He's in a coalition with them, the opposition, but he does not belong to their party. So how serious can they be that they cannot find even one person from within their own party who can come and talk to the other party? And then their proclivity for U-turns is very well known. So nobody
in their party may not be necessarily acceptable to the government. Therefore, they've nominated Ashok Sahi. That's what they say, right?
The government has actually said it in so many words that they would, if there are to be any talks, it would be much better for the PTI to nominate somebody from their own party.
Right. Let me come back to you on that. Aniq Zafar, do you think that this resignation, considering that it's just happened a little while ago, and then the fact that the Jalsa also is right around the corner, it can mean that perhaps that we might be looking at another delay within the party?
I don't know. It's whether it's about a delay or it's finally the fault lines are expanding and showing within PTI, because there are many fault lines within PTI. There are many groups within PTI. It's very interesting that Mr. Umar Ayub, who is the General Secretary of the party, the position of the General Secretary of the party is extremely important. It is actually the most important position after the chairman. So that office holder resigning just one day ahead of the public meeting, perhaps he knows something which he does not agree with, so he has decided to distance himself with him with the public meeting. It will be interesting to see whether he will be present on the stage tomorrow or not.
Who is the de facto person now after him? Who's going to be responsible? We know a lot of the leaders are not.
Well, already Ali Gandapur, who is the Chief Minister of KP, he has been claiming that it's my responsibility, and the leader of the party has given this responsibility to me, and I will be organizing it. Obviously, there are other characters like Shahrukh Sahi and some others. Maybe what we have been seeing is that there is less sort of noise at Punjab level. I have only seen Mr. Bakas Akram being a little vocal about the public meeting. Rest of the party from Punjab is mostly silent. So it's basically going to be a KP show because Islamabad is right next door. There will be some movement from other parts of some parts of Punjab, but I think majority will be from KP.
Do you think it's also because there may be a difference of approach between, traditionally speaking, what we know of Umar Ayub as a leader and what the KP CM Ali Gandapur stands for? Perhaps there overtly it seems there might be a difference of approach there.
Yes, that's what I'm referring to.
Because they're known as different kind of.
Perhaps Mr. Umar Ayub knows that
he will not be able
that I won't be able to sort of associate myself with whatever strategy is going to be adopted tomorrow. So I think he has very smartly distanced himself from that. He has said that I'll just focus on my parliamentary responsibilities. We all know that parliamentary responsibilities as a leader of the opposition are important, but given the circumstances PTI is in, politics outside the parliament is also equally important. But again, because of the rebel-rousing nature of Mr. Ali Gandapur and Shahrukh Sahi and all that, I think he decided that he should step away and let them do whatever they want. Right. Again, important marker, whether he will be there on the stage tomorrow or not.
Let me go to Ali. Ali, there's also, as far as the case itself is concerned, as far as PTI's application, we know that they've been rejected. There's they've asked the FIA to return files, computers and other electronic records that were seized of the party. Those have been rejected. There's a stay that's pending on Supreme Court judgments. There's been, as far as Supreme Court is concerned, we've seen the detailed ruling on the reserved seat case, and ECP has dismissed this application that, saying that the party has already delayed the matter. Where do you expect things to go there? Because there's a lot of fuss, there's a lot that the PTI itself is saying as a political party against the institutions again, with regard to what's happening with the EC, with regard to what's happening in the Supreme Court, and where does this matter stop then?
You see, I don't see it stopping because PTI as a political party, if it was a person, I would call them impulsive and irrational, illogical. There's no method to the madness. They just it's just like it's just too complicated. It's a time has come where I think people, even within the ranks of PTI, even their supporters, there was a time where the supporters have supercharged. I think even their supporters have stopped taking them seriously, because I think they're getting sick and tired of the fact that these guys can't get their act together. They can't come on the same page. The fights which are going on within the ranks. There's Alima Khan who's saying something else, and then she's not getting along with Bushra Bibi, who has a different stance. Then internal you have the leaderships. They kick out Sher Afzal Marwat. Then he gets his apology, and then he gets back in, and then he gets upset with them again. You see it. So people have institutions, other political parties, the government, they've stopped taking PTI seriously, because they feel that these guys are just want, by design or not, I don't know, but they're just nothing less than a nuisance, and that's all they are. They don't want to talk, they don't want to move forward, they don't want to resolve issues, they just want to keep going around in circles, they just want to keep complicating things, they just want political turmoil, they just want uncertainty. And I don't want to go as far as implicating them or accusing them of towing a foreign agenda, or maybe for purposely wanting to destabilize the country. But look at the outcome. Forget about the intention. Look at the outcome. Just because of this political uncertainty which they're creating, foreign investors are not coming. The IMF thing is a question mark right now. It'll go through, but the kind of statements they keep giving, they keep coming out on the roads, protesting, not wanting to talk. It's just, I think the common man who once used to support PTI is kind of getting sick and tired of it. They're like, either be here, they're neither here nor there. And these changing stuff.
Let me go to Dr. Shazza. Dr. Shazza, is it that you think we've also seen what's happening with the NAB amendments case? There's a whole the amendments, the way that the case has now, again, where we are at this time, the of course history of NAB, the history of amendments all over. Do you think people, like Ali is saying, that people are getting tired of the narrative? And again, the key that Aniq Saab also earlier mentioned is narrative building, that PTI was, earlier on so famous for, and they seem to be at a standstill with that. It doesn't, seem to affect people as much as it affects them as far as their leadership coming out of jail is concerned. Whether they can resonate with the masses on issues. Is that the real issue in your opinion?
Yes, certainly. I think that the narrative building has completely unraveled, and they have lost the battle of perception. Because the one thing that they were building the narrative upon was to say that everybody else in the world except for them is corrupt. So anybody who joined PTI became non-corrupt, but anybody else who was, the leader used to call names to people, and then once they joined the party, then they would become completely fine and became the chief minister of Punjab, whom he used to call the biggest thief of Punjab. So that was what their narrative was based upon, but now that has completely unraveled because you can see what's happening in KP. Nobody else is accusing them of corruption, although there are so many cases already there, Malam Jabba case and the helicopter case, which are still there, the BRC. There were many narratives of corruption, but now their own ministers are saying that there's too much corruption and they're resigning because of that corruption.
Right, fair enough. Aniq Zafar, do you think it's about, let's talk about the NAB case as far as where things are at this time. What do you expect now? You know, of course, we know it with the Parliament's legislation, now again it's in the Supreme Court, like a host of other issues.
No, NAB court case, NAB cases, are you talking about the amendments? That those have been now approved by the court. So now,
so
what will be the implications for different stakeholders? I think obviously the government, PPP or PML-N or others in the government, they are already they have already faced these cases, and these were pending in the courts since years and years and years. Nothing was being proved, so these were sort of done away with. And under these NAB ordinance amendments, there were more relief for these people. There may be some relief for people from PTI also, but majorly the case against Mr. Khan and his wife of 190 million pounds.
Yes.
I think their reading of the amendments is a little bit flawed there. They are saying that they will be moving quashment of FIR on the basis of the fact that the deal was approved by the cabinet, but there is a caveat that cabinet was never taken into confidence, consulted. Cabinet did not know what was it signing into, and there have been some cabinet members who have already appeared before the NAB court claiming that they were hoodwinked and they were not taken into confidence. So I think that is not going to help Mr. Khan, but let's see what the courts decide. Otherwise, I think these amendments were long due, and it's good that Supreme Court has finally given its support to the amendments, and also given support to a major principle that the Supreme Court cannot become a gatekeeper to the Parliament's function or Parliament.
It's
right?
basically upheld parliamentary
supremacy.
It's
parliamentary supremacy, its right to legislate, until unless something is completely violative of the Constitution and clashing with the constitutional provisions, the court has taken a position that the Parliament has the right to legislate, and it should be respected.
But in the face of this kind of environment that we have, you know, of course, like Ali said, the government also wants there to be some relationship, wants the end to these kind of protests, whether, you know, they're allowed, and of course, you know, under law, they may protest, and peaceful protests, I'm not saying, are not according to law. But the question is for stability. There needs to be that kind of exchange, and we've spoken about this.
Yeah, we have already maintained a position in these studios that all political parties need to engage with each other, whether it is the opposition or the government.
Do you think the government is making enough effort?
Well, I think in the background there is some effort to engage with them, with PTI. Of course, PTI is at a maximalist position right now, as Honorable Dr. Shizra Mansab said, that they want a blanket sort of NRO or something, that every political prisoner or PTI's prisoners should be released or whatever. But that cannot happen because there is a court process.
Yes.
You cannot put this demand on the table that we will talk when it is done. That's not how it happens. You first engage, then find a way out. So I hope that they understand this. Mr. Chakzai, who is right now leading from their side, he is a seasoned politician. He understands parliamentary politics, the real politics. So I think he will be able to find out some solution, and will be able to convince PTI's hardcore leadership. And obviously, in PTI, another challenge is that PTI's leadership is too reactive to social media sentiment. I think for moving forward, they will have to be a little bit thick-skinned.
Dr. Shizra, is it true you think that they're reactive to, as Aniq Zafar puts it, to social media sentiment, and that is also behind the way that they react to a lot of things that are said? And also, of course, it's also in the interest of certainty, and like Ali said, he said we look at the IMF, we look at overall the situation with the economic situation in the country. We want stability. The government also wants stability. But in terms of an opposition, like a supercharged opposition, like that we've seen recently, do you think it's possible at all? Again, Shahrukh Sahi Saab's position in this whole situation, and whether he can maneuver that kind of a relationship between you and the opposition?
I think it might be difficult because when they've just got one focus. If their focus was the people of Pakistan, if their focus was democracy, if their focus was the parliament, then certainly it would have been easy to talk. Shahrukh Sahi Saab is a very seasoned politician, but if the only thing that they want before anything can move forward is that they should be given a blanket NRO, then it seems that it's difficult to talk. And why they're doing these jalsas is also actually part of that, because they want to stay relevant. And this is just a drama. Keep cancelling the jalsa one after the other for one reason or another, and just give them a chance to just to portray their histrionic powers, and just do this drama and create this whole hype about it. And their different leaders are saying, we'll come, we'll do this, we'll be trained, we'll do this and that, just so that to try and charge people, to try and make the government come to this point of, all right, there's so much chaos, there's so much. But what they are doing, the chaos they are creating, is and it's not really, what have ever jalsas or dharnas, have they ever been able to topple government? No, they don't. There's only one way to move forward, and that is to actually sit and talk about important issues and leave the unimportant issues or the other issues which are in the court to stay in the court. So it's because of this that the talks keep stalling, because they don't want to actually talk. They only actually what they want is for the leader to be released from prison.
Right, fair enough. Thank you so much, Dr. Shizra. I know you have limited time. Thank you for joining us. Ali, let's talk about where we are with regard to, Dr. Shizra also said that, there's only one agenda. They want their leader out. In terms of a power show, in terms of this Jalsa, do you think that, let's as a power show, the PTI is going to be able to muster? Is it also designed to show that they have those numbers, they have the people support, and that they can and to make sure that it matters to the government, whether it's a negotiation, whether it's coming to some agreement with them? And the tactics of KPCM, when we talk about him, are they things can expect? He's known to be more aggressive. So my question is, in that sense, things have to be controlled, and I'm sure that the government appreciates that.
Absolutely. Look, if they can put up a good show, and if they can get enough people, which for some reason I'm getting a feeling they won't be able to, either some last minute issue will come, or the kind of numbers which they're expecting, or people are just assuming or predicting that a lot of people will show up. People will not show up. I think, I think a lot of people are just, as I mentioned earlier, a bit demotivated, demoralized. They're just not interested in this, unnecessary. They feel that the government is, working, and they feel like things are getting a bit better, and they feel it is unnecessary. And, if the PTI does want to engage with the establishment, if they do want to talk to people, they should get a hold of their social media. I mean, even today I was watching like some of their top leaders like Qasim Suri or whatever his name is, and this Shibli and whatever, they're posting videos about anti-state, anti-army, anti-establishment till this date. I'm talking about today. And here, on one hand, you're saying we want to talk to the establishment, we want to, and one of the conditions of the talks, what they want to achieve is that we want establishment's role out of siyasat mein, politics mein. We don't want the establishment involved, but we want to talk to the establishment. Look, take a moment to digest the irony. But I'm saying it's going to be a make or break moment for PTI, because if they go through with this public gathering, and if enough people don't show up, then it might be the last nail in the coffin and they'll be on a back foot. I do understand they're doing this power show to gain that kind of, leverage to flex some muscles, so they can show it to the other political parties and establishment, like, now we're going to come to the table to talk, and look, this is our power. But if that fails, then that's it. They're done and dusted.
Okay, let me go to Yasser, Latif, Hamdani ji. Yasser, before the legal side of things, do you think that, like Ali is saying, do you think it's possible for the PTI as a political party, we talk about their social media, it's an oxymoron, right? The one that there should be, they're demanding, I'm not, already the military has been very categorical and has said on numerous occasions that they are not involved in politics, that, there is nothing, the military has no involvement in the political scenario, in political parties. They've been categorical on that. And on the other hand, they want the military to intervene on their behalf, which is, for a while been the stance. The oxymoron itself and, the power show itself. Give me your opinion on this.
I think it's hilarious when you consider the fact that some of the PTI supporters were actually quite happy about the fact that the land on which the 350 canal plot on which this gathering is supposed to be taking place is owned by the military or is controlled by the military establishment. So there was this idea, I was reading somewhere earlier today, there's this idea that maybe, sort of the ice is beginning to thaw between the establishment and PTI. Now, if that's the way they want to go about it, then their narrative of civilian supremacy, as it were, or the fact that they want the establishment out of politics altogether, that kind of falls flat on its face. I feel that there's a lot that PTI now needs to, be clear about. What is it that they want? For now, it seems to be, we have to get our man out at all costs. And if that's the purpose of politics, then, basically it's a very personality-driven political ideology, if you think about it. So I absolutely concede the point. I think it's hypocritical of PTI to then turn around and try and ride the coattails of the same establishment that they, actually want out of politics.
Aniq sir, we're running out of time, but your quick comments on, this scenario that is manifesting itself. Do you think that the Jalsa itself will go through?
Well, given the past record of such developments and this cancellation of Jalsas and all kind of rhetoric, it does not look very promising. But given my position though is that every political party should be allowed to have public meetings. It's good to have people participate, but again that political party has to act as a political party instead of a rebel rousing outfit which is just there to destabilize things. So if they are able to hold this public meeting and also reflect reflect on their reflect internally that how are they going to use this opportunity, that will be a good thing for Pakistan.
Thank you so much for being with us. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. Aniq Zafar Sahab, thank you for joining us. Barrister Yasser, Latif, Hamdani, thank you for being with us. Muhammad Ali Rashid, thank you for joining us. Dr. Shizra Mansab, thank you for being with us today. At the outset, of course, I think what Aniq Sahab said, I think they're very important two things. One, that whether they can bring out people, of course, is important, but also whether they have the narrative that they want to tell their followers. Is it just going to be about their leader's incarceration, his coming out, or is it going to be about something more? Is it going to be something that really, at this time, there are a host of issues do matter to the people, their followers? That having been said, of course, the party itself needs to get its own house in order. Where, of course, at this time, a government which is focused completely on stabilizing the situation. Whether a narrative that is centered on their leadership's incarceration will hold or not remains to be seen. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.